there. My name is Shawn Walsh. I'm the Emerging Services and Technologies Librarian here at Madison Public Library. Welcome to Food Bytes. I'm an amateur cook, like most of you. I've cooked in a kitchen before. I've baked in a kitchen before, so I have some experience. But I won't say I am the most proficient chef in the whole world. In fact, I don't like being called chef. I'm just me. And today we're going to talk about one of my favorite recipes, which is chicken piccata. And the beautiful thing about cooking is that it's more art than science. And so you can add things, you can take things away. If you don't like one of the ingredients I'm putting in, don't put it in. The world is not going to end. If you want to add something in, for example, like we're not going to cook with white wine because I'm in the library today and that's kind of a thing we don't do. But if you want to hit up one of the wonderful local wineries around for a dry white wine, that'd be perfect in this dish. And that's kind of what I do at home a lot. So let's talk about what we need. So you're going to need either 2 chicken breasts, 2 chicken thighs. I'm going to use some chicken tenders for this. You're going to need some all-purpose flour for breading, and I like to add in a little bit of Parmesan and Romano and some dried herbs to that as well, and some salt and pepper to taste. You're going to need some butter. You're going to need some olive oil. You're going to need some garlic. I really like artichokes, so we're going to be adding some artichokes in. Like I said, you would also add in some dry white wine. That would be wonderful here, and we have some wonderful wines up here in Madison that you can use. The juice of 1 lemon is wonderful, and then one of my other favorite ingredients, which is capers. Now you want the capers that are the flower buds. There are caper berries. Don't get the caper berries. It's not quite the same. You want to get the flower buds. You can get them packed in brine or dry packed. They're both very good. I wanted a little bit of brine for this recipe, so that's why I got this particular version. And then finally, you're going to need some parsley. And then again, that Parmesan and Romano that I used for the breading, I'm going to put a little bit on top. And I think I'm going to put this on a bed of rice because I like it the way it kind of soaks up the sauce. It's also very good on a wide pasta versus a thin pasta. So I would go with like something a little thick, let's say a linguine. Pappardelle would be wonderful. Stay away from angel hair spaghetti. I don't think it coats as well. That's my opinion. Your opinion could be entirely different. Do what you want to do. Food is all about doing, what you want to do with it. Make yourself happy. Enjoy some food, okay? So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to get my mise en place, which is all my ingredients together, and then we'll be back shortly. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's get our dredge together. And I like some cheese in my dredge. So we'll shake some cheese in there. And then this is where I want you to use those Italian herbs. So I got one of those kind of grinders of Italian herbs because I'm trying to knock out some herbage here. And there's salt in this grinder, so I don't want to add any extra salt. There's also salt in the cheese. So I'm trying to make sure that we back off the salt a little bit. Then I'm going to add a little extra pepper because I want my chicken to taste like something. The point is that the whole dish has layers of flavors, okay? So we'll go ahead and mix up the flour here and get our dredge ready to go. And again, I'm using chicken tenders because I just wanted to kind of do this expedient. My favorite thing in all this is honestly chicken thighs. I think that it's the moistest, and it's also, frankly, if you're doing this recipe for the first time or any chicken recipe for the first time, try to use chicken thighs because they're the most forgiving. If something goes real bad, chicken thighs will save you on that. So, ready to go here. So I don't want club hands. I'm going to have one hand that I'm going to do, the dry stuff here. And then I'm going to have one hand that's clean to grab things. So again, I just want a nice light coating, but I want some of that seasoning to stick. So we'll go ahead and do that. And there's some cheese flavor that ends up in here and some of the herb flavor. And I'm going to add some on top before I fry it too. All right, I'll get it in there good. Now, I'll be honest with you, one thing I also like about the chicken thighs is they have kind of nooks and crannies where all this can get into. And that's usually amazing. And I'm setting it in this other pan to kind of let it tack up a little bit because I want some of the moisture to come out of the chicken itself because I don't want it to splatter as much in the pan. And I want it to form a nice crust. So again, we're going to shake those off a little bit when I go to actually put them into the pan itself. So we'll let these dredge, tack up a little bit. So some of that flour and some of that seasoning is in there. I know it doesn't look like it, but it's there. Trust me, you can taste it. Get that all dredged up. And again, chicken thighs, they're the way to go, my opinion. All right. Got these guys good. So now we'll let them tack up, and you'll see me back in a second. All right, so we've let everything kind of tack up a little bit, so I'm going to start adding things into the pan. And I'm going to do these probably in batches. So, don't want them too close together. I need a little bit of room. If I can get 4 of those guys in there. So I'm going to let these, with a cover so I'll make a mess, brown up. And then when they're browned up, we'll cut back. But this is, I mixed a little bit of butter, and I mixed a little bit of olive oil, so about a tablespoon of butter. You know, if you want to add a little more butter, nobody's going to yell at you on that one. And a decent amount of oil. I just used regular olive oil, not extra virgin olive oil, because we're frying here basically. So you don't need that extra virgin. So as things have come out, you know, I've checked a couple just to make sure, because, you know, I'm cooking chicken tenders and they cook fast. Add a little more spices to them. Add, you know, taste them, check them out, make sure that all is good. So you're ready to go. So these are all seasoned up. Now we're going to work on making our pan sauce. So the nice thing is, on our pan, we have all this lovely fond going, okay? So I'm going to clean out the oil a little bit, and then I'm going to use this fond to make the pan taste really good. So we'll go to that next. All right, so I've cleaned out the pan. And by the way, I was cooking that on about medium high, which is about 275 on the induction burner here. So I'm going to go ahead and add in some butter and get that going, because I want something to start kind of pulling up that fond off the pan. And along with the butter, I'm going to add a little more olive oil. I'm going to kind of start making the base of our sauce. Just a little bit. I want a little more butter than I do olive oil. So I'm going to start kind of running it around and kind of trying to get those nice bits of fond up. And they'll come out more as you go. You know, I don't want to scrape the pan too much, because it's definitely going to make some sound. But we get this going. And I may turn it down a little bit. I don't want it too high. But you want these brown bits. These brown bits are all that lovely flavor coming up out of that pan. Okay? So these are wonderful things. So now I'm going to add in some sliced garlic and kind of get that going. And I wish, just like they say on TV, I wish you could smell it in here. My producer and videographer are in here, and I know that they've been smelling everything as I've been kind of cooking the whole time through. So now I didn't have this on the ingredient list. I'm going to add in some shallots as well. I'm going to turn it back up again. I'm going to add those shallots in. They're not on the ingredient list, but I had them laying around, so I wanted to add them into the sauce because I like the flavor. So, and you notice I used a nice big piece of garlic because I want to taste it. If you don't like garlic or you're allergic to garlic, you know, don't worry about it. You know, seriously, don't worry about it. You don't add it in, you know. Smells wonderful in here, though. I want to keep everything moving, okay? So notice more and more of that fond is coming up off the pan, and, you know, some of it will stay there. The world is not going to end. You know, some of that's on my spoon here. I'm going to get that off in a little bit. But it's coming up, and that garlic's getting nice and brown and smelling lovely and toasty, and the shallots are starting to clear up a little bit. So as these things are going, we're cooking along here. All right. At this point, I'm going to add in some more of those herbs. Remember, there's some salt in this one, so I'm not going to add too much more salt. But there's going to be some salty elements, especially those capers. Okay. So now you got kind of an herby smell going on in the room here. Everything's kind of getting up nice. Now, I'm going to use the capers, and let's see how much brine I have. Yeah, I got a nice amount of brine. Now, the thing is, this, like I said, calls for white wine. But, you know, we're at the library here. We're not going to do some white wine, unfortunately. So I'm kind of cooking this down. And so the capers have that lovely, briny, bitter, you know, kind of taste to them. So we want that. And now's a good time. I'm going to go ahead and throw in our artichokes. And you can definitely get a vinegar smell out of the capers as we're cooking here. You know, I love this kind of stuff. This kind of food makes me happy. And if I think the sauce isn't thick enough, I may add some butter at the end and swirl it around. Can't remember the French term for it, but it's basically mounting the butter, which is where you've got the pan and you just kind of agitate the butter slightly and it allows it to thick up the sauce. We may do that too as we add stuff in, but I want to make sure that everything gets cooked through. And you can kind of see it's thickening up nicely. You know, I'm looking at this. I'm liking it. I may want to thin it out a little bit. So I have some of that chicken broth we talked about. That'll fortify that chicken flavor. And that was about half the can. And at this point, see if I can get it on camera here. I know you've probably seen a chef do this before. I'm no chef, but I'm going to do it anyway. Let's see if I can see it. I'm going to take this. Oh, stuff fell in my way. I'm going to take my lemon here. I'm going to roll it to kind of get the juice out. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut it. And this one doesn't have too many seeds in it. So I'm just going to squeeze it right in there. And if there's a seed, I'll pick it out later. You know, the world is not going to end. So this adds that nice briny, citrusy note to it. So add that other half in there because it's juice of one lemon. Get that bad boy in there. I see one seed, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pick that guy out because, you know, oh, that's a caper. We're good. Woohoo! So use my towel and dry my hands a little bit. So I'm going to let this simmer down a little bit. So, and kind of let it kind of mellow out. So I fortified it with the chicken, but I want to make sure I had enough liquid in there to get those artichokes kind of poached through a little bit. You know, I want to get them good and they're already kind of cooked, but I want to kind of finish it off. So we'll let this cook down a little bit and we'll be right back. Okay, so we've let this simmer down a little bit and I kind of want to nest the chicken in there because I want it to absorb some of these flavors. You know, and we're going to let it cook down just a little bit more. It's a little soupy, but I wanted it soupy to kind of, you know, if you look now at the bottom as I kind of clear the bottom, you don't see really much fond in there. That's all been absorbed. So we got this I cut a piece of chicken just to double check it, so it's my non-pretty piece of chicken here. So we'll let these guys kind of cook down here in the sauce. So we're going to do a little more cooking because I want it nice and juicy, okay? So we'll be back in a little bit. All right, so we've let it kind of cook down, and notice it's definitely a little bit thicker. I'm going to throw some more butter in there because, well, it's kind of my thing to tighten it up a little bit. And you know what? I'm going to throw just a little bit of cheese in there, and I'm going to go ahead and take it off the heat. All right. Start throwing that cheese in there, and I'll probably add some more at the end. And I kind of want to start mixing that around slowly. You know, I don't want to, you know, get it too much, you know, too fast, too hot, because the cheese will get all goopy. But notice how now it's nice and thick. Kind of got a nice thick, you know, sauce. It went from immediately. You know, that cheese has a little bit of binders in it too, but, you know, it thickened up a little bit. My chicken's falling apart. You can tell it's definitely cooked through. But notice how it's nice and, you know, look at that. It kind of, you know, coats that back of that spoon nicely. So we'll go ahead and get this kind of stirred up a little bit more, and then I'll start plating for you. All right, so let's plate some of this up. It's a nice, like I said, thick sauce. You know, so you want to give it a couple nice pieces here. I'm going to try to make it pretty for you guys. You know, not my specialty. I'm more of a let's eat kind of guy. You know what? Let's put one right there in the middle. Let's get some height on this guy. And then we're going to go ahead and smother it in those artichokes and capers and that parsley. And I had just tasted the sauce while we were off camera. And I thought it was really good. It didn't need, in my opinion, it didn't need anything extra. So there you go. Chicken piccata. And it's ready to eat. So that's what we're going to do. So thank you, and go from there. Hey, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. You know, in my opinion, the best thing in the world is to cook for someone. That's how you show you care about them. So today I cooked with you. I wanted to show you out there how much the library cares for you. We enjoy doing this. We enjoy providing this kind of content for you. So, you know, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, Snapchat, Twitch, on our website. All of our events are there under our calendar. And, you know, kind of mix it up however you want to do. If you want to make this tonight, that's great. Make it for the weekend. You know, I did it as a small batch. This is something definitely can be scaled up. Just do it by taste. You know, there's a point of no return. You can kind of add too many lemons in. You can add too much capers in. You can kind of overwhelm it. So taste, taste, taste. That's important to do. And you know what? Hey, do it however you like. This is your recipe. This is your cooking. So enjoy. So have a wonderful day, and hopefully join me back when I do the next recipe. See you later.